but who are not Malaysians, any international students in Malaysia? Maybe you can speak up or just raise your hand.
Oh, I
Because I
come from
see.
China. I
Oh,
study
China.
in, yeah, I'm PhD student of UTM. My
Okay.
major is management, but I used to
Okay.
study in UK.
Okay, wonderful. Chen Su. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank
Uh,
you. So,
I'm from
Salam.
India. I'm
yes.
also a PhD student in
Mhm.
UPNN.
Okay, wonderful. So,
I am from Oman as well, UTM student.
okay, wonderful. So we have a very good mix of local and international students in Malaysia and even outside of Malaysia as well. I'll try my best to accommodate all of the different, range of demographics and audiences today, in the hope that everyone can benefit to some degree from this talk. So I'd like to begin my talk with this lines of a few words. So about me, academia is my vocation, STEM is my avocation, science communication is my passion, and I want to combine them all. So thank you kindly to the moderator, Dr. Hanafi, for kindly introducing my background. Just to reiterate what he said, so I am an associate professor in electrical engineering in UTM. My field of interest, like I mentioned, is in computer vision and image processing and artificial intelligence. But what that means is just that I work on making computers understand pictures and making computers and cameras being able to recognize pictures and photos and images that they see. So how we humans understand pictures and the things that we see in front of us, that's how what we want the computers to be able to do as well. So that's sort of my field, to be able to recognize objects or recognize people, recognize faces, to track the movement of things and so on. I was also director of students at the Ministry of Higher Education. And, thankfully I was involved in a science communication competition called FameLab way back in 2017. And I was lucky enough to win the competition. And since then, it has opened so many doors for me. Not least is my involvement and advocacy in the field of science communication. I feel very strongly that science communication is an important thing for us to be able to fight on and fight about, especially for Malaysia. So I also would like to take a moment to just commend Perintis as a society, as an association for Muslim scientists in Malaysia. So Dr. Hanafi said that I am a member of Perintis and I am a very proud member, but actually my involvement in Perintis has spanned over a decade. I remember over 12 years ago when I was a PhD student studying in London, the president of Perintis at that time was Professor Zainuddin. So he came to London and we actually conducted an event, a program with him. And from that, I was exposed to Perintis. And since then, I became a member and I was involved. I volunteered in some of the activities. And until this day, I am very, I'm proud to be able to contribute and volunteer my time and efforts in Perintis, because I feel that it is such a wonderful, a fantastic platform for scientists and Muslim scientists. So I'll just take this a moment to promote Perintis for you all out there. If you want to be involved in more fantastic activities such as this, please join Perintis. You can go onto their website and their social media and find out more about the society. So just today, what we will cover are these fields. I will talk about science communication. And the first thing that is important for us to begin with, I will then go into the 3 M's of impactful presentation, which is matter, method, and manner. And then I'll just wrap up with some science communication platforms for us to, delve into, to find more about this wonderful world of science communication and impactful presentation. Right. So, anyone knows who Simon Sinek is? So Simon Sinek is a famous, I guess, for Gen Zs and the millennials know about Simon Sinek. So he's a fantastic author. and a fantastic motivation speaker and coach. So he wrote a book called Start With Why. And this talks about whatever we are doing, whenever we are doing something, we have to think about why we are doing this. What is the end goal? What is the bigger picture? What do we want to achieve at the end? So if I want to, if possible, take this to our context of our talk today, the talk is about impactful presentation. And I guess the target demographic is for postgraduate students. And I guess from the 91 participants we have here, maybe the overwhelming majority are postgraduate students. And you want to be able to learn how to make your presentation impactful. But why do you want to do that? Why is impactful presentation important to you? Can someone maybe share one or two feedback? Why did you attend it? Why did you attend this talk? Why is impactful presentation important?
To convey message.
Okay. To convey message to whom?
To the audience or to the participants.
Okay. So if the message gets conveyed, what good is that? What benefit does that do?
To make them understand, to explain things, to discuss, to evaluate, and etc.
Okay, so let's say your audience consists of your supervisors or your grant committee. So it's important for us. We have this brilliant idea. I mean, in terms of our research. Excuse me. Somebody is speaking. Okay, so we have this brilliant idea, you know. So we are researchers already. Sorry, somebody speaking. Nur Izian Shafira, can you mute, please? Nur Izian, can you mute, please?
Done.
Okay, so we have this brilliant idea, you as researchers, but you need to communicate it. You need to convey it in order to convince your supervisors, in order to convince the audience, in order to convince your grant committees and so on. And why is that important? So knowledge gets propagated. So you get what you want. So you get you pass your PhD, you pass your your vivas and so on. But why? Why is that important? So I keep on asking why. Why is passing your PhD important? Why is this dissemination or propagation of knowledge? Why is that important? Look at the bigger picture. Think about beyond yourself as a researcher. Of course, you want to, you want to be a convincing researcher. You want to be able to present convincingly. But look at beyond yourself. Look at, it's not just about you, but what we are doing is that together, by creating impactful presentations together, we are together propagating the knowledge and dissemination of science, dissemination of our research fields and so on. And that will trickle down to the stakeholders, it will trickle down to the society and the country. And that is the importance of why we are doing this talk today. So I want to just take a moment to not just think about impactful presentation in the context of, yes, I need to do this because I want to pass my viva, I want to get the best presenter award, I want to, get this grant and so on, which is important, yes. But the bigger picture of that is that these activities all contribute towards the propagation of science overall. And that is the importance of science communication. Now you think you know what communication is, but what about science communication as a whole and how that relates to impactful presentation that you are supposed to listen? This talk is supposed to be about impactful presentation. So what is science communication? Now, let me just share one video to give an idea of what science communication is.
Going first, so audience, crank it up a bit.
Can you hear the audio here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
go crazier for Malaysia and the magpie mind of Dr. Zaid Omar.
We always take this for granted, but how do humans recognize faces? Well, in a way, the brain can be thought of as a very advanced computing machine. The brain receives input data from the eyes, in this case, a person's face. It then detects some important landmarks around the face, for example, skin color, eye color, size of nose and cheekbones. It then tries to match these landmarks to someone already in our brain database, and finally produce an output. This face belongs to my daddy, as my baby daughter would probably say. But when you think about it, isn't the reverse also true? Isn't the computer really just a basic version of the brain? And therefore, can we program the computer to perform facial recognition just like humans? Well, yes we can. In fact, yes we already did. Facial recognition software was used to track down the persons responsible for the Boston Marathon bombings in 2013. And let's not forget your embarrassing photos on Facebook, courtesy of the photo tagging feature. So facial recognition technology is very much part of our lives, but getting there was not easy. You see, the computer can perform basic tasks like multiplying huge numbers far better than humans. But when it comes to learning and intelligence, we are still miles ahead. So what sets us apart? What could be the X factor responsible for creating this intellect among the human race? Well, the answer lies in what is inside the brain. Billions of cells called neurons, and the special way they interact among themselves in a network formation. And these neurons are what computer engineers are trying to emulate. This is called the neural network, a computer algorithm that takes inspiration from real neurons in our brain. And this is the real magic behind facial recognition technology. Guys, this is the epitome of superbrain computing. Neural network is considered intelligent precisely because it mimics the human brain. A single neuron on its own is pretty basic, but lots and lots of neurons connected together, that allows for more advanced and complex processing to take place and achieve real artificial intelligence. Think of it like this. If I throw a pebble into a pond, it will create plain, circular ripples on the water. If I throw two pebbles together, when the ripples collide, a new shape will emerge, a V. Therefore, isn't it also plausible that if I throw a huge amount of pebbles in a specific way into the pond, I can make the ripples create a far more complex shape, like a picture of a house, for example. And that analogy is how computers utilize neural networks to perform facial recognition. These facial landmarks are like the pebbles that are fed into the network, where the ripples mix and mingle to finally produce an output. Match, found, face equals Zaid, Omar. A neural network is so good, it's on par with even our ability to recognize faces. Neural network is the key to the future of artificial intelligence, and it all begins here. Thank you very much.
All right. So that would be one example of science communication taking place. Probably not the best example, but a valid example nonetheless. So taking a cue from that, science communication, what I can say is it's broadly defined as the practice of informing, educating, sharing wonderment, and raising awareness of science-related topics. Now, science communication can consist of covering science outreach, typically conducted by professional scientists to non-expert audiences, but also science inreach, expert-to-expert communication from similar or different scientific backgrounds. Now, in the context of impactful presentation, what you probably had in mind was this science inreach. You want to be able to learn how to present in front of your Viva committee or your supervisor or the conference or the grant committee and so on, which consists of experts from your own. But also, please consider that science communication and you have a duty and a responsibility to also conduct science outreach, which are those from outside your fields, the school children, the public, the society, and so on. And an example I would give is something like this. So try to read this research article. aerosol formation, role of iodine oxoacids in atmospheric aerosol nucleation, the mystery methods, results, and data, the finding. Now, this would be a perfectly acceptable, a perfectly okay thing to talk about in probably your in your Viva, for example, or in your conference and showing. But just to be clear, to be honest, how many of us can really understand what is being said here? Especially if our field, even if we are scientists ourselves or engineers ourselves, but our field deviate just a little bit from this field of iodine oxoacids and atmospheric aerosol nucleation. So what science communication does is it's supposed to break that down and simplify it into cloud-making aerosol could devastate polar sea ice. Now that is science communication, and this has been done by a science journalist, which takes a complex topic and tries to break that down so that it can be appreciated and understood by a larger public. And why is that important? Going back to my begin with why point there, is that if more people can understand it, then more people can appreciate it, and that science, it gets propagated more, which will benefit us in terms of policies, in terms of developments, and so on. So again, you may say you already communicate science within your field. You do research, you do conferences, you write journals, you apply for grants, and so on. Why should you go beyond? Now, let me give you my side of point, my arguments here. Anyone knows, anyone recognizes what this city is? Which city is this? So Dr. Hanafi says Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur, yeah? You recognize the Twin Towers and the KL Tower on the right there. And maybe we're going to have TRX and 118, later and so on. I imagine this as Kuala Lumpur of the future. So Kuala Lumpur with all of the technologies, all of the features that are going to be available to us. Now, this would be somewhere 20 years in the future, 50 years in the future. So imagine where I will be 50 years in the future. I will not be here. So who will take my place in order to make this Kuala Lumpur a realization? Who will make this Kuala Lumpur a reality for me? It will not be me, but it will be the generation after me. So we need our nation to be sustainable in terms of our science and technologies. I apologize, I'm speaking on it in terms of Malaysia, but in fact, you could argue the same for other countries around the world as well. Essentially, overall, we need scientists and engineers to be sustainable, to be, taking over and consistently produce science and technology and developments and innovation throughout the time. And we need 500 scientists and engineers by 2020, and so on. So all these are our requirements to make that, fantastic imagination a reality. But what is our current reality? Look at the 19% of students in schools who are taking up science. Look at many SPM or school leavers not preferring to go to university, but becoming social media influencers. Look at students who think that STEM is difficult. Look at even last year, and this is just from recent years, half of our school leavers chose not to further studies. So there is this discrepancy, this disparity between what we want our nation to be, what we imagine or envisage our science and our technology can be in the future, but what the public or the majority of the public thinks. And it's as if scientists and the public are speaking in terms of apples and oranges to each other. They're not speaking the same language or the same lingo. And you can blame a lot of factors for this. There's a lot of things that we can probably, point to of why and how this came to be. Why do children want to pursue social media? Why don't they want to continue studies and so on? You could say that a lot of the jobs that are available after they graduate is not profitable enough, it's not sustainable enough, and so on. There are factors, yes, which are true, But I try to look at one of the factors in particular, and that is this guy. So who is this guy? It's the teachers. But it's not just the teachers. It's actually me. It's actually you. It's actually all of us in working in science and technology and engineering and mathematics and education and higher education. It is these guys, it is us guys who are not doing enough, who should be doing more to promote and inculcate science among our youth and our students. Now, and in popular media, in popular culture, in the West, throughout this century and the last century, there is this notion that a scientist is someone who is very ugly, very dorky, very geeky, antisocial, awkward, not cool at all, as evidenced by this picture of Doc Brown in Back to the Future and this guy and so on. But that is not true at all. So on the left, you can see these are the fantastic winners of the L'Oreal Women in Science Awards. And these are beautiful, fantastic, wonderful ladies, but with brains as well. And they are scientists, bona fide scientists. And on the right, what does this guy look like, with his cap and his microphone? Can somebody tell me what this guy looks like? Can somebody just shout it out?
Rapper.
A rapper.
He looks like a rapper. He looks like a rapper, right? I tell you, this guy is a rapper, but he is a science rapper. And his name is Dr. Alex Lathbridge. He's a friend of mine from the UK, and he raps about science. And he produces science content that are fantastically cool and wonderful. And you can catch him on his website and on BBC and so on. So science does not have to be dorky. Science can be cool and wonderful and interesting. And I'd like to show one more video. This is, can anyone recognize who the person on the left is?
Brian Cox, Professor Brian Cox.
Wonderful, Dr. Hanafi. This is Professor Brian Cox. He is an astrophysicist. And anyone recognize the person on the right? So this guy is Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien, he is a talk show host. So can you wonder, what is a talk show host doing with a scientist? Can you imagine this scenario happening in Malaysia? But let's take a look at what they are saying.
This hadron, am I pronouncing it correctly? Hadron?
Yeah, hadron, hadron. Yeah, tomato, tomato. It smashes things together.
Okay, I guess none of it really matters.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to call it the Higgs particle anymore. I'm curious, this thing that simulates the Big Bang, I read an article, and I don't know if it's true, that you guys, when you turned this thing on and rammed these protons into each other, you weren't quite certain what was going to happen, and that there was a small possibility that something could go very wrong. True or not true?
In the technical language, that's bollocks. Bollocks is what the English person would say. It's nonsense.
How dare you,
Absolute
sir?
Nonsense.
How dare you?
It's nonsense.
How dare you say bullocks to me on my show?
It was, as far as I can tell, made up by the press. What it did was make CERN famous.
Oh, okay. Because I remembered reading about it, that you guys had built this giant thing, you were going to ram some particles together, and there was a bit of a chance that a black hole would form and would all get sucked into it, but you were like, let's see what happens.
It was worth it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was worth it. Okay, so you're saying that's not true.
Worth the risk.
Life out there in the galaxy, yes or no? What do you think?
I think there is, but probably simple life. And I think there's a good chance we may find it on Mars within the next decade or so.
Really?
All the signs now are suggesting there's water below the surface of Mars. The Curiosity rover has been finding the geology should be right. So the next missions that will go there have a good chance of
Simple life meaning?
Single-celled microbes.
Yeah, not what we've always been hoping for. I don't know why. They always say when we find life, it'll be much simpler than us. But our fantasies have all been life that's, oh, you pitiful earthlings. You know, our robots can destroy you. You know, they're always billions of years ahead of us, and they have weird heads. And yes. But no, you say it's going to be simple.
Yeah, we've not seen any evidence of any alien civilizations anywhere in the galaxy, and we've looked. We've putting aside the stories about abductions, etc.
Okay, so so I won't play until the end, but you can find the video on YouTube. But what does this short clip tell us? It tells us that there is a wonderful marriage and collaboration between popular culture and pop culture and science. It shows that there is an interest from people like Conan O'Brien, who normally hosts celebrities and sportsmen and famous people, but he takes the time to talk about science with Professor Brian Cox. And they talk about it in a very broken down lingo that is interesting, that is fun, that is funny to the layman, to the popular, to the society, and to the population. So there is this fantastic marriage of science and popular culture in the West that we should do more to emulate here in Malaysia. So we are doing also quite well, and I would like to show you some wonderful and exemplary Malaysian science communicators in Malaysia. And I'm sure many of you know about these persons. Dr. Amalina, who talks about a lot about medical issues, medical and health issues. Dr. Hasbullah, my good friend, who is from UTM. So he has a YouTube video for engineering and mechanical engineering and automotive about cars and engines and stuff. Very, very interesting. Dr. Zame, a physicist, who talks a lot about science and has written books about science in a fascinating and interesting way. And Dr. Aid Fauzal, who invented his own variable number, but also talk about science. So these are the ones we should be looking up to. And what is the one thing that they have in common? Can anyone see what they have all in common? Anyone would like to guess?
Interesting.
Charisma.
Yes, but just look at their names. What do they have in common?
Doctor.
Yes. They all have doctors. Dr. Malina is a medical doctor, but she's also pursuing PhD as well. She'll soon become a double doctor. But they are all doctors, meaning that they are all like you. They are all researchers first and foremost. But they also take the initiative, take the extra step to also communicate and talk about their science and their expertise to the public so that it will inspire the public. So as my friend, Mr. Ahmad Farami, who's a lecturer in media studies, he mentioned something very profound, and I'd like to convey this to you. To develop as a science nation, there needs to be an advocacy for science appreciation, especially in our local media. Science should be treated as pop culture. The discovery of black holes or gravitational waves is discussed and appreciated in major talk shows. Scientists are made popular and given rock star status for the younger generation. It's high time we move on from the cheap entertainment of Instagram celebrities and Malay teledramas. So preach, brother, preach. So why is science communication important? So that this does not happen again. And if you don't see anything wrong with this picture, you should check yourself. Okay. So overall, guys, ladies and gentlemen, so I need you, you need me, we all need each other to together communicate science, right? So that is the basically just an introduction, which takes 35 minutes of why we do what we do here. Try to relate and connect the importance of, yes, you want to make an impactful presentation, but why is that together we are doing this very big task, very big responsibility, and very big contribution to the development of science in our country. So next, I'd like to move on to the first step that we need. And for that, I would like everyone to go on Mentimeter. And hold on, I can click this. Sorry, I haven't opened it. Let me open it first. Okay. Okay. Can you see this, or should I need to share again? Oh, sorry. Oh, I need to share. I shared this one. Sorry. Where is it? This one. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So can you all go to menti.com and use code 76365830?
Could you say it again or type it?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to ask two questions here. So first off, okay, can you see this screen in front of you? Oh, no.
It is frozen. Activity Mentimeter is frozen. Okay.
This one?
Yeah. Now, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask two questions. So the first is, what makes a good presentation? And what makes, I want you to just ask yourself if you can remember any memorable, any good, fantastic, wonderful presentations that you've heard in your lifetime, that you've maybe seen on videos and so on, that makes you go like this monkey, wow, whoa, like that, okay? And just maybe type them down, all right? So, okay, so I have very good responses so far. So a lot of people are saying confidence, simple, impactful, clear, interesting, gestures, images, language, simple, convincing, easy to understand, great presenter. Okay, we have 58 responses. A bit more, okay. So connect, digestible infos, infographic, eye-catching slides, good communication. Okay. Right. 86 responses, clear. So the most would be confidence and simple and interesting and convincing and impactful, and all the rest surrounding it. So I'm glad to see that you guys have already what it takes. You already know what are the features of a good presentation. So I'm just going to reiterate those things in this presentation, in the slides that I'm going to do today. So all of the things that you mentioned here, inshallah, will be covered in my slides. I'm happy to note. So thank you all for the first question. Now let's move on to the second question. What makes a bad presentation? Wordy. Wow, okay. If a presentation, I hope I'm not too wordy. Slides too crowded. Yes. Okay. Fear, texty. Yeah, okay. Hard to follow. Okay. Not colorful. Oh, that's interesting. Not colorful. Okay. Monotonous, flat tone, not confident, connection. Okay. Okay. All right. So wordy is a big one. So a lot of people are saying wordy. Flat tone. Wordy, is that in a sense of the speaker speaks too much, or the speaker uses a lingo that is probably too high? Maybe a bit of both. Okay. Voice too low, boring slides, dull, lengthy, monotone, bored, technical words. Okay, wonderful. Bad communication skills, not interact with audience. Okay, keep it coming, keep it coming. Wordy, okay. Low energy. Oh, too simple. Wow, too simple is unorganized. Too technical. Really slides. Boring images. Okay. Okay, we seems to, so we've converged to 77 responses. So thank you once again for the responses here. And yes, when I read all of this, inshallah, my slides will also address these issues with regards to how not to make a boring or unimpactful presentation. And if I look at these two slides, what makes a good presentation and what makes a bad presentation, you can break it down into sort of three parts. Three parts. The first of which is the content itself, the content of what you want to try, what you're trying to say. So the content is boring, the content is dull, the content is too technical, language is too high, and so on. Secondly is the design of the slides. So the slides are, like you say, too compact, too crowded, and things like that. And thirdly is the speaker themselves. So maybe the speaker is not confident, he talks too slow, and things like that. And if I can take those three aspects and bring it down to my back to my presentation. So thank you guys for this activity. So I'll stop sharing in this one and I'll put this one back. Where is it? Share screen. Okay. Okay, so we are back here. Can you see this activity, Mentimeter, right? I hope I'm right. So you can see the back to the slides, right?
Yes, yes, okay.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so regardless of the three aspects that I'm going to talk about, the content, the slides, and the speaker, the most important thing that we have to begin with is actually the audience themselves. And this is called audience profiling. And I would like to share the story of this picture. Anyone can recognize who the person in the picture is, the one standing
Abraham
and speaking.
Lincoln.
Yes,
Abraham
this
Lincoln.
this is Abraham Lincoln, the president of the United States in the late 1800s. And he is giving a speech at Gettysburg. And this speech is called the Gettysburg Address. This speech was given after the culmination of the American Civil War, where basically his side won, and he's trying to, bring the nation back together after they've fought with each other in the Civil War and many lives lost and so on. So he needs to make a very impactful presentation. Now, the story is Abraham Lincoln had already prepared a 4-hour-long speech to give to the people. But the day before he was due to give this speech, and he had already prepared this hour-long speech, the day before he was due to give this speech, he asked his assistant to just go out of the house and try to engage the mood of everyone in the city, everyone in town. And the assistant went around and he could see that people are tired, people are fed up, they don't want a long speech. They want something that's impactful and just calls to action. The assistant reported back to Abraham Lincoln, and what he did, he threw away his hour-long speech and he wrote a new one very quickly. And that new speech became his speech for the Gettysburg Address. And that went down to be one of the most important and impactful speeches in the history of mankind. So the importance of knowing your audience and relating to your audience. Now, we, a lot of the time, because we are researchers, we have our facts and we have our truths and we have our knowledge and information, and we think that we want to give all of this. And sometimes we think that it's about us giving to the listener, to the audience. But actually, it's not about what we want to say. It's about what they want to hear. We are the salesman. and the audience are the customers. If the customer do not buy from us, we don't blame them. We cannot blame them. They have the right to either accept or believe or listen to what we have to say. And so we have to make it the best of to provide the best chance of selling our product, this fantastic research idea, fantastic knowledge that we have, to the audience. So we don't lead with the facts in order to convince, to lead with the values so as to give the facts a fighting chance. So empathy is a very important tool in speaking to the audience. Now, I'd like to conduct an activity, if I can, and I would like 2 volunteers. So can 2 volunteers just raise your hands? Anyone? Or should I just select Afiq Hazmi? Afiq, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so Afiq will be first volunteer. And Fakiha Saleh?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so I want Afiq and Fakiha to volunteer for this activity. Now, this is a conversation that I want you to play. So Afiq will be the first person A, and Fakiha will be second person B. Is that okay? So I'm going to show you a script. So Afiq just read out the first person's script, and Fakiha read out the second person's script. Okay?
Sure.
Ready? Okay.
Why?
So yes, okay. So silakan.
Why do we need to vaccinate babies anyway? It's better to let immunity to develop naturally.
Babies don't have the adaptive immunity that older kids and adults have developed over time. They need to be vaccinated to prevent getting seriously ill.
But I had measles as a kid. Now I am naturally immune.
You are lucky. Many kids that get measles die before they can become immune. The vaccine makes them immune to measles before getting infected and protects them from getting sick or dying.
But what about the babies who get vaccinated and get sick from side effects?
Those are really rare. Vaccines must meet very high safety standards and are constantly monitored.
Even so, what if it is your child that has the side effects, even if it is rare?
Side effects from vaccines are very unlikely. Kids are more likely to choke on a hot dog than get side effects from vaccines.
Okay, thank you so much, Afiq and Fakiha. Now, what do you all think about this conversation? So B is the medical expert. A is probably the parent. So what do you think about the B's response to A's concern? Do you think
sad.
It's sad, isn't it? Why? Why is it sad?
Like straightforward.
It's too cold, yeah. So it's not very empathetic. It's quite cold, and they just she's replying with facts and doesn't really address the original concern, right? Now, Afiq and Fakiha, I would like you to continue with the second conversation.
Why do we need to vaccinate babies anyway? It's better to let immunity develop naturally.
Babies don't have the adaptive immunity that older kids and adults have developed over time. They need to be vaccinated to prevent getting seriously ill. Why do you think vaccines are not a natural way to build immunity?
It is not natural to inject something foreign into their bodies. But I had measles as a kid. Now I am naturally immune.
Glad you survived measles, but many kids have very long-term effects and can die from measles. Although vaccines are man-made, the way they stimulate immunity is still natural. Many dangerous things can happen naturally, like foreign bacteria and virus entering through skin cuts. But why else do you disagree with vaccinating babies?
One of my friend's kids had a bad reaction to the vaccine and had seizures after that. I also heard one case in India when some babies died after getting vaccinated.
Sorry. Those are tragic cases, but they are very rare. Vaccines must meet very high safety standards and are constantly.
But what if it's your child that has the side effects, even if it's rare?
True, we need a better way to predict who might get a severe side effects from vaccines. But would you deprive 99% of kids who can be protected by vaccines without developing side effects and put everyone at risk because of the worry that 1% of kids might develop side effects?
I guess from a numbers perspective, that makes sense. But is there a way to test for kids who might get a side effect before giving them the vaccines?
There isn't a specific test yet, but kids who have known allergies and other medical conditions are advised against vaccination.
Ah, I never knew that. I thought all kids get vaccinated.
Many kids cannot get vaccinated because they have a history of severe allergies. That's why those who can safely get vaccinated should, so we can protect those who cannot get vaccinated by reducing the spread of the disease in general.
All right. Thank you, Afiq and Fakiha. So what do you all think about the second conversation in terms of the empathy?
I want to hear this.
You want to what?
I want to hear the news from her.
You want to read the news from her? So the second doctor is more empathetic, addresses the concerns, acknowledges that there is concern and valid concern from the parents, but tries to give reassuring points. And because of that, the parent is more convinced about vaccines and so on. And they have this wonderful conversation regarding vaccines as compared to the first one, right? So that's the first point that I would like to make, is about audience profiling. Please, please don't disregard your audience. Don't just think about what you want to say, but how your audience, the demographic of your audience will make up. What are the likes and dislikes? What are they thinking? What do you think that they want out of this presentation? All right. So that's the first point. Now, let's go on to the 3 M's for impactful presentation. And I think the reason that many of you here today. So there are 3 elements. The first, I would say, is the content or the matter of your presentation. And this has to do with the actual meat and the actual crux of what you want to say. So it's important that you guys have some elements of FARE in your talks. It's fresh, something that is unexpected. It's actionable, something that you can do about it. It's relatable. If you're bringing new facts and ideas, you have to put it into context that can be relatable by the audience, and it's emotive. It triggers a sense of appreciation and urgency. Right? The first tip I can give to you, and this is related to a lot of your points when you say a good presentation and a bad presentation, is regarding jargons. What is a jargon? Can anybody tell me?
Rare words.
Sorry? Rare words?
Rare words.
Rare words, yes. Bombastic words, technical words, mathematical terms and scientific terms and acronyms and so on, right? So it's jargons. Now, in my field, I'm part of IEEE. 1 + 1 = 2. But sometimes, and a lot of the times, researchers and academics, we tend to outdo each other in order to make something easy complicated. So there is this joke that even 1 + 1 = 2 can be converted and can be made more complex with ln E = 1 and sin² x + cos x² = 1 and blah, 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 all the way until it goes down until the bottom one, equation 2 may therefore be written as blah, blah, blah. Now, this is a joke, but actually it is quite true, because a lot of us, we have this need to present ourselves as intellectual and smart. And in order to do that, we have to speak with the, with the most jargons as well. And as the listener, we don't want to sound, or we don't want to look stupid, so we pretend to understand the jargons as well. And in actual fact, maybe the person speaking may not even fully comprehend, or the person listening may not even fully comprehend. So wouldn't it just be better if both sides, we break down the jargons into something that is more digestible? We break down the jargon into something that is more easily accepted or understood by both parties. I'll give you an example. Look, please read this original abstract. Well, don't read, just browse through the retreat of mountain glaciers, blah, 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 21st century climate scenarios, ensemble. And this is, again, a perfectly good abstract, I would say, for a research paper, for example. But think about the layperson. So think about if you are applying for your FRGS, and the person reading may not be from, he's like from the financial background, and he is responsible for approving your grant and giving you 100,000, 200,000 ringgit or whatever, but he's not from a science background. So how should he appreciate what you're trying to say here? So this abstract, for example, I have a friend and his name is Dr. Sam Illingworth, and he is actually a science poet. And he managed to convert this abstract of mountain glaciers and climate scenarios and so on into a poem. So compared to the abstract, he just wrote, in Canada, a study found how glaciers melt in the west. The shrinkage is beyond profound, with 70% at best. If we ignore the Earth's request, then 95% will go. New barren lands will not be dressed with climate change too warm for snow. The alpine streams and sapphire lakes, they too will go. Now, this is, of course, probably an extreme example. I don't expect you to write a poem for your grant committees or whatever, but it highlights the importance of us being able to break it down into something that is more layman's terms. Albert Einstein, I think, was it Albert Einstein or Richard Feynman, a famous scientist, mentioned, if you cannot explain it well enough, or if you cannot explain something in simple terms, then you have not fully understood it enough, right? So here is another activity. We'll try to do this for a couple of minutes. I'd like you all to go to splasho.com/upgoer5. And this is a wonderful website. So the website only allows you to write words that are the 1,000 most used words in the English language. And try to explain your science topic using this text editor, Upgoer 5. And remember, you can only use the words aloud. So let's try. Okay. All right, can you all see this? So Upgoer 5 text editor. So can you explain a hard idea using the 1,000 most used words? It's not very easy. Type in the box to find out. So for me, for example, I work on computer vision and artificial intelligence. Down here, you have used non-permitted words. So vision, artificial, intelligence, I cannot use. So I have to think about, so instead of artificial intelligence, what should I use instead? I work on making computers understand pictures. Congratulations, you have used only the 1,000 most used common words, all right? Now, of course, this may be an extreme example because, I mean, who doesn't understand artificial intelligence? Who doesn't understand computer vision? Well, that's what I think in my head because I have been conditioned because I work in this for, 10 years, 15 years already in this field. So I'm used to it. So I think to my head, who doesn't understand computer vision? Who doesn't understand artificial intelligence? I mean, it's AI. Everyone knows AI. But you have to go beyond your bubble, beyond your field. There are persons out there who pretends to know what AI is or pretends to know what computer vision is, but actually they don't. So wouldn't it be better if I explain I work on making computers understand pictures? So that's what when I introduce myself, when I say my field of research is, computer vision, image processing, and so on, it's actually about making a computer have a camera and it can understand and recognize what it sees from the camera, just like what humans we see with our eyes and our brains. Okay. So back to this one. Okay. So back to this. Can you see back to the activity, right? Up goal 5. So this website is a wonderful tool that maybe you can try. Anyone wants to share what they found for their own science topic? Pak Razi Awang, maybe you want to try writing in Splasho? You managed to use the permitted words? Or Hui Cheng Chin? Or Fatima Sarah? Okay, it's okay. So if not, then maybe something that you can try in your own time. Just practicing, breaking down your science into something that can be understood. All right? Okay. So that's the first thing, subtle, and some of the tips that you can use. Secondly is the method. It is how do you design your presentation. So first is the content. Second is how you design or how you arrange your presentation. First off, it's always good. It's always better if you can attract your audience from the get-go. If you can give a very impactful, a very memorable hook. Now, what is a hook? Hook is this guy here, but a hook in a speech is an introduction. It is the opening to your speech that is either a joke, like, why does climate change want privacy? Because it is changing. Bold statement, in the next 50 years, the beautiful island of Tuvalu, home to 11,000 people, will sink. A provocative statement, your Netflix binge is causing global warming. Or you engage with the audience, take a deep breath, and you ask the audience to take a deep breath. Did you breathe in nice, clean, fresh air? I remember a friend of mine, Professor Abi, during his film lab performance. So he stood on stage when it was his turn. So he stood on stage and he did nothing for 5 seconds. He just looked at his watch. So he looked at his watch for 5 seconds, and then he said, in the last 5 seconds, 10 people have died from cancer alone. So that was very impactful, from doing nothing, and people are wondering, what was this guy doing? So actually, he's making a very important point, right? So that is a hook that you can use in your argument as an opening argument. Second is the point of chunking. Hold on. Okay. So second is the point of chunking. So chunking is a commonly used tactic in debates. Anyone from debates here? So myself, I have some debate background as well. It's just the concept of breaking up and breaking down, or combining up and breaking down your points into abstracts or into specifics. So chunking up is where you have a concept and you are relating it to something that is bigger. What is this concept an example of? What is this concept a type of? And chunking down is breaking your concept into something more specific. What is an example of this topic? So you can see the example on the slide here, a motorcycle. So let's begin with a motorcycle. So a motorcycle, if you chunk it down, what are example of motorcycle? So you have the Yamaha, you have the Harley, and so on. And then you can break it down more. What is an example of a Yamaha? A Yamaha Super Sport, Yamaha, Kachai, whatnot, and you can break it down further. Or you can break it, or you can combine it up. So a motorcycle is an example of what? Motorcycle is a type of what? So a motorcycle is a type of transportation, for example, a type of vehicle, for example. So what are other types of vehicle? What are other types of transportation? So we have planes, cars, boats, and so on. Transportation is a type of what? Transportation is an example of what? Is an example of movement, and so on. So that is example of chunking up and chunking down. Now, I'll give you an example activity, right? I am going to say a series of sentences, and I want you to guess or tell me whether I am chunking up or combining the concepts, or whether I am chunking down. Okay, so you all can participate in this short activity. So the topic is exercise, right? Exercise. Exercise involve various physical activities such as running, swimming, or cycling. So is that chunking up or chunking down?
Chunking down.
Chunking down.
Down. Why? Because I gave examples, right, of activities. For example, in running is a very popular cardiovascular exercise, and running can contribute to improve your cardio or your heart health. Chunking down or chunking up?
Up.
Chunking up.
Why? Why is it up though? So I'm specifying into running, which is deeper than exercise. So I'm chunking down, more down. Okay. So cardiovascular exercises, they they help in our overall fitness and improve heart fitness through exercises or activities like running and swimming. It can support better circulation and function of our heart. So I'm chunking back up because I'm from running and I'm going back to the concept of exercise. So that's just example, and I know this is not it's not set in stone. It's quite subjective whether it's chunking up or down, for example. So the point is for you to understand in your speech, you always begin with the chunking up, the big pictures, the concepts. And if you can relate to our fresh and relatable elements of our speech, and then in the middle of the speech, we go down into the insights and main idea and the take-home message, which is your chunking down, and then you're chunking up again into your actionable elements of your speech in terms of what next and so on. Another point to make about design of your presentation is the power of threes. Now, in humanity, in humans, we are always obsessed psychologically with the power of threes. So we do a lot of our things is associated with three. The Three Musketeers, Do Re Mi, Tiga Abdul, what else? Nike, Just Do It. Adidas, Impossible is Nothing, and so on. So a lot of the concepts we see around us, it's easier to digest, it's easier to understand in the power of threes. So in your talk, try to design your speeches, try to design your points in threes. And that is what I tried to do with my own speech as well. If you can remember, what are the three elements of an impactful presentation is matter, manner, and method, right? So that's an example, the power of threes. And so we come to the slide design tips. Now, these are some tips that I can share and I can that I have found, but I would like to give a caveat, a disclaimer, that this can be quite subjective as well. And some people may have different opinions, and say my may disagree, and if you disagree, you're free to voice out and give your perspective as well. But these are just what I stick to and what I have found. So first of all is the point of KISS, case. So KISS stands for keep it short and simple. So I saw one of the responses on Menti is about simple and not too crowded and so on. And that's exactly the point about our slides. So you can see the examples here. So the bottom two slides here, l'irrégularité causes rapid CA2 transients. The difference between a dark and complex background and your graph against that background compared to a white background. The slide that has a lot of words, hunting and eating, lions prey on large mammals, lion hunt coordinated groups, cooperative hunting, blah, 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 and so on, teamwork, alternate, blah, 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 and so on. So you can remove that and just do lions hunt and eat in groups with a picture showing the actual thing. So several points that I want to share here. First is that background and slide design and slide background is very important. So don't use backgrounds that are contrasting with your presentation and your typography and your words. So for example, a dark background is not preferable, and that is one of the reasons why I chose to design my own slides here for this presentation today from a totally blank and totally white background, and I just put words in it, as compared to getting some design template from Microsoft PowerPoint and so on. Secondly is the importance of pictures that can speak better than 1,000 words. A picture is worth 1,000 words, as in example of this lion's example here. And thirdly is the use of colors. So like I said, one of the responses was that they want more colors in the presentation, but actually more colors can be quite confusing as well. So that's why PowerPoint, they have this color themes for their slides and so on. And that's why sometimes color is better to be more standardized rather than just a mixture of random colors. Another point is, instead of writing results in your slides, like introduction or problem statement or methodology in your slides, rather than writing the word methodology, write the actual methodology. So let's take this, for example. The left is hunting and eating, which is the heading. But on the right, you actually take the point of that heading and put that into the heading instead. That way, you can reduce the words, you can reduce the crowdedness, the crowding of your slides. Because obviously, when you talk about hunting and eating, your points are going to be about hunting and eating. So if you don't even write about hunting and eating, so just write lions hunt and eat in groups, that point has already been made. So the point of hunting and eating is redundant. So that is the my point about using headings wisely. Another one is about your fonts and your slides. Impactful science communication, how to present your science, versus impactful science communication, how to present your science. So these are just some points about your choice of fonts. So number one is serif versus sans serif. So what is a serif? Anyone knows?
Type of font.
Yeah, so a serif is actually the tail that you have in every letter. So take a look at the letter I there for impactful. So the sans serif, such as this, this is Calibri. So the sans serif, the I is just a square I, right? But for Times New Roman, the I, it has those tails. And Times New Roman is good for certain applications and certain formats, certain documents, but it's not very good. It's not a good idea for presentation because these tails, these serif, they are distracting. That's number one. Number two is if you compare the title case versus the uppercase for the bottom one. So if everything is in if everything is in uppercase, then it is distracting as well. Imagine that you're writing your points and all of them are in uppercase. It's very distracting as well. And number 3 is if you are highlighting, no, not highlighting, you're underlining and you are italicizing your font as well. That also is very distracting. So try not to do those things for your slides. So, this would be some example and so on. Dr. Hanafi, we are at 12:17. Do you have time to spend a bit more, or should I wrap up?
Yes, I think you should. Can we just run up to allow the audience to ask question, probably, Dr. Zaid?
Okay. So I'll just nearing finish. Okay.
All right.
So these are some slides that are, these are bad and so on. This is bad. This is good. Okay. Some good examples would be signposting. So signposting, and especially in your vivas or your proposal, is that you show where your slide is with regards to the entire presentation, where the sections are. The second signposting is to put page numbers in your slides. And cognitive load theory. So a good rule is to keep it to 10 slides, 20 minutes. I know I'm like way over the time, and a 30-point font. So this is like a golden rule of thumb in presentation. And then we go finally to manner. I'll just spend a few minutes on this one. I promise, Dr. Hanafi. So again, these are just tips that I can tell you, and basically anybody can tell you. A Toastmaster can give these tips, a public speaker, debater can give these tips. It will not do much good if we don't practice this. So I'm sure everything that I'm saying here, the eye contact, reading your slides, turning your back on the audience, all these are not good, and you know this. The posture, the fillers, but it does not do any good if you're not practicing it. The hands, the voice, and so on. So what's most important, I plead you all, is to practice, and practice your talk. So perfection is achieved not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. So with that, I will conclude my presentation. Thank you so much, Dr. Hanafi, and everyone for your time and attention. I'll pass it back to Dr. Hanafi. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Zaid, for the wonderful presentation and sharing lots of tips and tricks to us. Thank you so much. So I would like to open to the floors. Any questions that we can take? Let's see in the chat, or maybe if you want to ask directly, you can. Oh, there is one question from Nazira Abdurrahman. Actually, who is your idol, Dr. Zaid?
Me.
Yeah, who's your idol? And how you become you now?
Dr. Hanafi is my idol.
Who's your idol, actually?
Honestly, my journey in science communication was since 2015. And I joined this competition called FameLab. It's a science communication competition where you just talk about your science in 3 minutes in the most creative and interesting way. And from that, I managed to meet wonderful people, fellow science communicators. And one of them who I really look up to and I'm very inspired by is Professor Abhimanyu Virakumarasivam. He's now the provost of Sunway University. And we went through a lot together. And he pushed me to become sort of the science communicator that I am today. So I'm very thankful to have Prof. Abi as my friend and mentor.
Yeah, we in the ASMYSL knows him so much. Good communicator. Yeah. Another question, how many do you reckon the amount of slides needed for different proposal session? I think it's not limited to 10. Is it necessary 10, Dr. Zaid?
No, definitely not. So this is just, there are many, like I said, so there are many schools of thoughts, many mazhab, and very subjective. Some people say 1 minute per slide. So for this presentation, for example, I have 60 slides, and I'm giving it for about 1 hour. So 60 minutes, 60 slides, more or less. but it can vary. What do you think, Dr. Hanafi?
For me, of course, you don't have to be many slides. The fact that you must be able to convey your message clearly and to defend yourself, to make people understand. That's it. So for me, if you have 20 minutes, make it 20 slides is enough for me.
Yep. So a rule of thumb of 1 minute per slide is a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea as well. And then from any more questions? Do you want to ask Dr. Zaid directly? If not, I will ask him. I have so many questions to him.
Ayo.
Any questions? Burning questions that you would like to ask directly to Dr. Zaid? You can switch on your microphone.
So whilst waiting, I'll just show some wonderful science communication platforms. This is an activity that I did with one of my workshops. So we went through a lot of the platforms and we try to rank them, or we try to score them in terms of these rubrics. So how entertaining they are, how accessible they are, how valid is the information in there, the aesthetics and the duration. And this is what we found. So YouTube videos and IGs should be the main, target if we want it, if we want impactful. And the most boring ones is probably like a blog or like a newspaper article. Academic journal is the worst.
But nowadays, nowadays journal have what they call it infographic, isn't it?
It should. Yeah.
Dr. Zaid, there's one question from Brother Muhammad Shawwal. Which one is better, to prepare the script first or the slide first? Which one?
I think definitely slides, right? Script you should always leave the script until the end, and I wouldn't even call it a script. So don't memorize your entire script. Just memorize the points that you want to say. So just read your slides many times, one by one after the other, and know that when this slide comes, you know what to say, and you can practice what to say. So when the slide after that comes, know what to say. But in order to do that, you must prepare your slides first, right? So please finalize your slides, and then after it's finalized, maybe take the. So I always try to do this. So maybe 2 weeks before is finalizing the slides until maybe around 7 days before the talk. So 7 days to the day of the slide is just me practicing the presentation. Or you can, if you want to compress that a little bit, that's fine as well. So maybe 3 days before, whatever. But yeah, so slides first and then practice. But practice is important. Practice.
Yeah, personally, my take is that if you have a script and you want to memorize the script, your presentation will be too structured.
Yeah, correct. You'll sound like robotic. Yeah, so it's not.
All right. How do another question from Muhammad Zaini Zainal? How do you train before your presentation? Do you speak in the mirror, or you speak to your wife, maybe your student? How do you train before your presentation?
I think many people, they have their own tactics. I cannot speak to my wife. Will find me boring. So I just speak I just practice in my own room. I don't speak in front of a mirror, but I speak to the screen because I need to look at the screen, right? So, but I do practice. Yes, I do practice many times, but not in front of a mirror necessarily. But I have to practice, and it's about remembering your slides and remembering what comes after, so that you can, you don't have to be beholden to your slides. So the worst thing I hate about presentation is people who read their slides and not look at the audience. And unfortunately, when we have a webinars, it's very easy for us to read slides. But people will notice. People will notice when your eyes are just like reading like this and not looking at the monitor, not looking at the camera. So even in a webinar, I would try my best to look at the camera, or at least look at the screen, and not just practicing. Even when I'm an MC, for example, for a webinar, an MC, a shortcut way is just to paste your script on the screen, right? And you just read your script. that will look unnatural. So what I like to do is I like to print my script for the MC, and I read it loud like this, and then I look up from time to time. So that means that you are the audience will see you, that you are engaging with them. So always begin with the audience profiling in mind.
Okay. By Siti Zainab Muhammad Hamzah, she was asking, what do you think about bringing a small paper note during the Viva?
Yes. I think I had that when I was doing my Viva like 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I don't know, Dr. Hanafi, did you have small notes? I think I did have small notes, but I don't rely on it completely. So I refer to it from time to time.
I don't actually me contradict with Dr. Zaid. When I present, I usually present this to my wife first, whether she understand or not, because she is in different field. If she don't understand, I'm in problem.
Wow.
All right. Would you recommend use of slide templates tools using Canvas or others? Would you recommend this?
Hold on, sorry. Okay, so here are some of my other considerations. So first off, PDF versus PowerPoint. So PDF is actually more flexible. So imagine if you're presenting, you need to plug into another computer, and that other computer has a very old version of PowerPoint, so all your fonts are rosak lah. So it's better to save in PDF if that's the case. Don't have too much animation. Try to have a backup file and use props whenever you can. Now, with regards to Canva and so on, I've tried both methods. I've tried designing my slides using Canva and designing my slides using PowerPoint. I tend to find that I'm more PowerPoint PowerPoint person. But Canva has some very good designs as well. It's just quite difficult to access. So you need to log in and blah, blah, blah. So I don't quite like that. But, it's stored on the cloud. So you can log in other computers and use it straight away. But that's just me. So if you are a Canva person, if you are like a LaTeX or Beamer person, if you're a Microsoft Keynote, is it Microsoft Keynote? Yeah, so that's fine as well. But just be mindful about the compatibility. Can Canva, you download it, can it be played on other computers and so on?
All right. Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Dr. Zaid, to be a charismatic speaker, is it come through trainings, or is it come through our ancestors, our keturunan or our gene? What do you think?
Is it nature or nurture?
Is it nature or nurture? Which one?
Let's take Dananjaya Hetirachi, for example. So he is a world champion in Toastmaster, and he's from Sri Lanka. Now, if you were just to take his DNA, he might not be the world champion that he is today. But maybe some people are born with talent, a little bit of talent, but talent itself is not enough. You have to marry that with the necessary practice and effort. So the things that I mentioned here, the hand, the face, the voice, the posture, the fillers, some of us may find it easier, right? Some of us may find eye contact easier. Some of us are more fluent in English, for example. And maybe that is due to talent or DNA, but you still need to work on it. So we might find one thing easy, but others not. Some other things we find not easy. So we have to work on all of these things. So I have a very big issue with fillers. And you notice that from my presentation, I use a lot of that. And this is me, someone who might be considered a science communicator. So I shouldn't be using so much fillers. So it's still a struggle for me to overcome. So I need to pace myself and use silence as a better filler. So everyone needs to practice, even if they have talent or not.
Yeah, science communicator needs lots of practice, and currently now the most challenging part as a science communicator is whether you can break down, make it simple to communicate science to much lower children, age of
Correct,
children.
correct,
That's very
correct,
difficult.
correct.
All right.
Yes. And I'm
Okay,
very
any-
encouraged to see Dr. Hanafi's efforts. So I like to show his platform. So this is Dr. Hanafi, one of it, the science babe. So he's someone who I look up very look up to, and as well as Peritis as well, and other platforms as well. All of these are wonderful Malaysian initiatives for propagating STEM and science.
Yeah, inshallah, just a small effort. Another question, Dr. Zaid, is it okay? The same, what do you call it? If you want to communicate science in other language, do you need to, what do you call it, do the same method like what other people in Westerns use English to communicate science? Because some of our terms in Malay is not there in English. It's not there as in English. What do you think?
Wow, this is a very loaded question actually. Soalan ada bomb. Because it's related to the PPSMI, it relates to the DLP and teaching science and mathematics and English, and there are proponents and opponents to the issue, and I guess whatever I say, there are people who are going to agree and disagree as well. But if you look at me, then you probably see that I am pro English. That means that I believe that because English is the lingua franca, we have to learn and we have to talk about scientific concepts and terms in English. It would make it better for people to appreciate and faster for them to learn if it's already in English. Now, the medium itself, you can mix it with other language, your native language, for example, Malay, Chinese, Indian, Arabic, French, and so on. But the actual terms that you're using, so you can say something like, saya bekerja dalam bidang artificial intelligence. So, so I'm using artificial intelligence. Bidang saya adalah computer vision. So the terms is English, but the medium is Malay. That's my trying to sit on the fence of this issue.
Yeah, sometimes you have to borrow as well the term in English and other languages as well. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Zaid, for the wonderful explanation. I believe this is a sharing session by the experts like you, and hopefully the audience and can get benefit from this, inshallah. So I think this is all the time that we have. Dr. Zaid, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Hopefully we can meet you in another forum as well, inshallah. So with that, let's close or postpone our session with the Tasbih Kafara and Surah Al-As. Subhanakallah. Thank you so much, Dr. Zaid. Let me text you behind related to the slide. If you would like to share your slides, I can pass this to the technical staff, Parentis, so that they can disseminate your slides if possible. Okay, Dr. Zaid?
Thank you so much.
Dr. Zaid. Okay, assalamualaikum.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Wow, full quorum, more than 100. You see, congratulations, Dr. Zaid.
Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.